Hi, everyone. Hi, Valerie. Um,
Hello, Jenny.
I'm Jenny, and I am from the Power of Change. I've been writing over there for about 5.5, 6 years. I'm an intuitive empath, a writer, an explorer. I live in the United Kingdom right now, and I've been reading tarot for about 15 years. And this is a new project that I'm starting, or that Valerie and I are starting together. This is my friend Valerie. And we are going to be exploring the energy of the moons because it feels important and powerful to do that as we enter this new decade and this new year on the heels of this. Well, actually, not the heels. We're in it right now in the energy of this Aquarius new moon. So over to you, Valerie.
Well, I'm Valerie. I live currently, and probably for the rest of my days, but I never say never. I'm in New Mexico, and I've been a traveler of the United States. I'm intuitive. I've been doing reading cards for about 25 years, and there's a big old long history, but who cares? So anyway, here I am with Jenny, and we're here to have fun, try something new.
Yeah.
So thanks for joining us. Yay.
Yay! Welcome. Yeah, so this is all about the Aquarius new moon, the 24th of January, 2020. I almost said 1920. Wow, that's a bit of an oversight there. And I just want to talk a little bit about the energy I've been feeling around this moon before we get into the tarot reading. But it feels to me, and the beginning of this decade, this new year, there's this balance coming in, which is something that we've sort of been working towards as a collective, clearing out all the old, shifting from old structures into this time where we get to build new structures. And Aquarius is about revolution. So it feels like there is this sense of a new way of being coming, and it's what we've all been working towards. So it's exciting that this decade is starting with a moon in Aquarius, and new moons are great for setting intentions. So it feels like a good time going forward to set intentions towards how you would long-term intentions. How would you like this Aquarian age, this Aquarian energy to take you forward into this newness? That's how it feels for me. So yeah. Is there anything you'd like to say before we start reading, Valerie? Is that okay?
No, I'm good.
You're good? Okay,
I'm
cool.
good. Thank you.
So what we thought we would do is a theme card, and then 4 cards, which will roughly cover each of the weeks between now and the next new moon. And we are going to pull the cards simultaneously, blind, and we'll see what comes up and how the themes, coincide with one another. So I'm using the Gaia Oracle by Tony Carmine Salerno for the theme. And then for the other cards, I'm using the Good Tarot by Colette Baron Reid and Animal Spirit Oracle, also by Colette Baron Reid.
Cool. Both of my decks are Colette Baron Reid's. I'm using Wisdom of the Oracle for my theme card and for 2 of the cards, and then I'm using Wisdom of Hidden Realms for the other 2. So
it's just a big Colette Baron Reid fest tonight at the Aquarius full moon. So.
Yeah.
New moon, sorry. New
yeah.
moon.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, I have my theme card. Oh, it's beautiful.
Oh, mine's pretty too, and it makes me laugh. Okay.
Right. So shall we do the big reveal?
Okay.
This is mine.
Here's mine.
Tree of Life, number 1. And it's fertility, creativity, destiny, and magical blessings.
And mine is deep knowing. And so look at the moon. I love that. 43 goes down to 7. Number mastery, and then the owl and the wisdom. It's interesting because it looks like a full moon at the back, and this one's sleeping. So
yeah.
New moon, maybe, I don't know, but it's beautiful, deep knowing. So that's the theme for this month, deep knowing.
It is. And it's cool that the tree of life number 1 came up here. So it's all about, yeah, fertility, creativity, destiny, and magical blessings. And there's a heart, there's an ankh, there's a figure 8, there's a star, there's a yin yang, another heart there. There are hearts and stars in the tree. And it's the beginning. And that is just so brilliant, because we are heading into this new, the new that we've been creating. We don't even know what's ahead. We can't possibly know, because we've never done it this way before. So there is this sense of surrendering to that.
Well, and I think what's cool is the deep knowing.
Yeah.
And then the tree of life is grounding it into this time. So the deep knowing, we wouldn't all be here collectively right now if there's some aspect that we didn't know that we'd be here for this shift in this time.
Exactly.
And so by bringing in this deep knowing during this time and then grounding it through all that creativity and fertility, and so it's all about creation now in this new age, which is very exciting.
It is exciting. And it feels to me too like there's a real message here to trust the foundations that you have built through the stripping away. It feels counterintuitive, because you think, well, if I've let go of everything, then what do I have left? But what you have left is the stuff, is whatever's remaining, and that's the solid foundation that you've created, right? And then the tree of life is the instigator of all things. I mean, it's that point of inspiration where from where all things are born. So yeah, wow, it's a starting point rooted in that deep knowing. So
rooted yet flexible, changes with the seasons. I love it. It's very cool. Nurturing.
So cool. Wow. Feels also, suddenly I'm just feeling too, or hearing like it's a really really fertile creative time of manifestation. So manifest from your deepest knowing instead of manifesting from fleeting fears, or it's not exactly be careful what you wish for, because, you know, if you wish for it and you want it, cool, and it shows up. But it really is going to be such a potent time for manifesting that it feels like, you know, when you're creating from your deepest desires, when you're making those kind of desires, then the manifestations, because it's for the long term. And that's what's cool. It feels like we're really creating for a long time to come.
Yeah, and I think what will help facilitate it too is to stay in somewhat of a state of expectancy. We're not going to know what the new looks like.
Right.
It might look the same for, it might not visually change, but energetically, but to have that state of expectancy to bring it in, to let it in, to keep moving into it, to let it come to us versus the old fears and such, and the doubt. And it's a shift. It's a shift out of the old into the new, and for the new to happen, you have to completely. You can keep the foundations, but you really want to be ready to bring it in and let it in, and have this expectancy of something new and more exciting than you can even envision. So, because what do we know? It's all new. So how can we know what it looks like?
Exactly. And I think that's where you can get caught up in the fear and stuff, like, oh, nothing has changed. It all looks the same. Well, sure it does in the 3D, in our illusory idea of how things are supposed to be. But if you feel into it, and if you really, really take the time now as we're making this shift, and be like, I think that's why the manifestations have to come from that deep knowing, because if you're trying to create from the past energy, it will feel fleeting. Whereas if you're creating from this sense of things really are different, this is amazing, look how far I've come, look how different I am, look how my energy has shifted within myself, feel that alignment and then create from there. And it's unstoppable. I feel like this massive avalanche, you know, like we're just heading forward now with this incredible potential. It's really,
Well, and like we've talked about, to be excited that we're here. I mean, we chose to be here. So instead of going, oh, no, we chose to be here.
yeah,
So, okay, we made this decision. Be happy.
yeah,
Be happy and look forward to it. And will it all be smooth? Maybe not. But when we're in a different frame of mind, they're little bumps instead of big mountains. And
yeah,
that's the way to get through the shifts and the changes, and kind of ride it like on the surfboard, you know.
yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, it's Age of Aquarius. So instead of trudging up those mountains, ride that surfboard.
Yeah, that's right. The water bear,
Yeah.
Aquarius.
Yes, that's
Yeah,
right.
yeah, yeah. And
Cool.
that's the thing. It's like if you think of it from a soul level, yeah, we come down here to enjoy the ride, right? So if you go to a fun fair, you wouldn't go on like a flat roller coaster because there wouldn't be much point. You go on the ones that go up and down. I mean, it's fun and it goes slow and it goes fast because that's the ride, right? That's
Upside
where the thrills
down,
are.
makes you say potty words.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. That's where the thrills are. So
Yes.
yeah, cool. So let's head into week 1. So what can we expect from this first week, which, you know, goes roughly from today until the 31st? I've got, the Hanged Man, number 3.
Well, it's funny because mine is 16, which so both of mine come down to 7 so far.
Yeah.
But it's interesting how at first glance you would look at our cards and go, oh, Hanged Man, and oh, the Shadow Queen.
Yeah.
But the cool thing is she has a crystal and she's receiving all this power. And the words are acquiring knowledge. And I really feel like we've talked about the insecurity and the manipulation are what it's important to release this
Right.
week.
Yeah.
Let go of that past bit and focus on receiving and acquiring my deep knowing, the theme, and acquiring that knowledge this week, the first week. So it's real important.
Yeah, so there may not be a lot of movement. And two, when you think of like the idea of the Shadow Queen, she's got that light, she's shining the light into the darkness. She's not, it's about not being afraid to face that stuff as it comes up. And then the Hanged Man suggests to take, look at it from a different perspective. And as you were talking to about the letting go, like think about him. If he had anything in his pockets, he doesn't anymore. It's all just fallen right out. So there's no, you're not hanging on to that stuff. And look what's behind him, a moon.
Yeah.
Well, it could be a sun, but it looks like a moon to me. So yeah, but it really is like this time of reimagining from a place of like a hollow bone or an empty space where we're not bringing in the old fears, the old perspectives, the old views of the world.
Well, the cool thing is, like about the Shadow Queen, is she lives in the shadows. She's cloaked in black, so she might be hard to see, yet she's still shining a light for us to follow the path, whether we know where we're going or not.
Right.
So
yeah.
Very exciting. Very exciting.
Very cool. Yeah. So putting those two together, the first week may feel like it may not feel like a lot of movement, and it may feel like stuff is coming up that feels like a past energy, but it's remembering to look at it from a new perspective, remembering that the Shadow Queen has shown you how to deal with the shadows in a new way. So it's not about, like we were talking about just a minute ago, it's not about the ride's going to be smooth from now on, but it's how have you learned to deal with it or look at it from a different perspective that allows it to be less of a setback than it might have been before. And also understanding the creative potential that lies in the shadows. In order to shift that energy, create with it. right? Because there's this sort of alchemical process that happens when you go down into the depths of the shadows, and create beautiful things from it. It's magic.
Well, and how can you move forward into the unknown if you don't have some sort of knowledge? So that, like you said, it's a time of just receiving the knowledge and being open to receiving the knowledge, and then knowing that we'll be guided. You know, there's always, we're always being guided. So it's
Yeah.
just
Trust.
trust the deep knowing and the connection. Stay grounded, tree of life, and everything's going to be all right. So.
Just moving my leg fell asleep.
Okay, so week number 2.
Week 2, yeah.
Okay.
We're an animal this week.
Regeneration.
Regeneration, cool. Look at that old tree. Wow. And I've got spider spirit. Make your dreams real. Wow, that's like a very creative card. And look, it's a number 11, breaks down to 11, which is a 2. And that's for week 2.
Yeah, and mine comes down to 10. 1,
Okay.
10. Good numbers.
And so how do those work together? Well, the regeneration, it's interesting mixed with spider spirit, because, I mean, I think of a spider, like they're this kind of, as much as I am actually kind of afraid of them and I don't like them in my house, but they fascinate me at the same time. But energetically, you know, if you think about, if you're out hiking or something and you walk through a spider web, you destroy all that work, but they're so tenacious and so creative, and they just go again. It's like, don't lament things that have been washed clean or anything you've let go of. Us, you won't find a spider sitting around crying because their web was broken. They just spin another web. And it's like there's this infinite well of creativity that comes from that. And the regeneration card feels to me like it's the same. In every death, there's rebirth. There is always more where this web spinning comes from. And so it's like time to really deeply trust that creative process that is, when we're tapped so fully into spirit, and we're tapped so completely into our own, like accessing our own creativity within us. It's infinite. There is no sense of ending or beginning, or where you end and where something else starts.
Well, and that's what I always think of with a spider web also, is how they sense vibrations. And so to me, that goes to the web of life, you know, how we're all connected, and to remember that we all feel the vibrations. We feel the vibrations whether we're aware of them or not. So it's really important to be mindful of our creativity and the vibrations we put out in the world. Because even if we're a hermit and we're at home all by ourselves, our vibration is still important to the web of life.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing, all of a sudden I'm hearing that it's real important for us to know, is every single one of us, no matter where we are, how involved, non-involved we are, it's important for us to remember to be mindful of our vibration as we move forward, because we're equally important in the regeneration of where we're going. And regeneration takes some time.
Mm-hmm.
And as we know from the years we've just gone through, it can be ugly and painful and hot. But look at the tree. I mean, the tree is still there, and it's slowly regenerating as the hot and the icky is still moving out. So that second week we might feel a little uncomfortable still. I already forgot what your card was.
The spider.
Spider. I'm so into the whatever I'm getting. It's like, okay, yeah. So to just don't go into fear. Don't go into fear. You know, just be mindful of your vibration, and stay connected, you know, through the web, whatever that web is.
Yeah.
For you.
Cool. And I mean, that one really speaks to your initial theme card too.
Mm-hmm.
The regeneration.
Deep
Yeah,
knowing.
the deep knowing. Because when you were talking about the creative process and the vibrations that we put out, like if you are vibrating from that space of deep knowing, as opposed to
Right.
sort of the ego just like, quick, get me this, I need this, I need a fix of something, you know, on the surface, like it's a very different vibration. Whereas if you're vibrating from that deep knowing, again, it comes back to that idea of creating beautiful, lasting, aligned manifestations and offerings for the world, whether it just be a cup of tea or, you know, something bigger that you want to give.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
Right. Is there more?
Well, I was looking at my 3 so far, and the thing, you know, the same going back to the regeneration is, even like I said, as this is rebuilding and burning away and all this, there's still all this magical light coming in, you know, and
Yeah.
the rebirthing of the tree. And there's light, you know, she's shining the light, and then deep knowing there's light, you know, this from spirit, from the universe, from creation, you know, so it's a very powerful time.
It is. And I feel like the regeneration, we don't have to focus on the regeneration. The regeneration is just happening without our needing to do anything. We just have to be and continue to surrender to this idea of we have already done the releasing, and we're building the new structures with the power of our desires and our thoughts and our knowing of what it is we want to go forward into. So we're
Well, and the thing
learning.
is, we have to come up with words, but it's also understanding that it's already done.
Yeah.
It's already done, the new, whatever it is. It's there. It's waiting for us to accept it,
Yeah.
to just accept it and be ready to, you know, it's like all of a sudden having to get a new car or move or change planets. I don't know, you know, it's all kind of the same thing, but it's up to us to make the decision. It's there. We can't see it yet because it's,
Because we haven't attuned ourselves yet
there
to
you go.
seeing it,
Thank you. The
because we're
tuning.
still attuned to seeing what is, and that's what this time, that's this feeling that we're getting of this like transition time. So as much as there is excitement about this is all new, it's all new, it's not happening overnight. And that's where I keep getting that sense of this is long-term stuff. Like we're really, the new is coming into our awareness more and more with our creative process. But yeah, you know, like you were just saying with the it's already there, but we have to align ourselves with it. And that's where it's like, is it being, is it doing, is it releasing, is it simply accepting the fact that it's there, you know? So there's a whole lot of
Right.
all kinds of stuff. So that it feels like that's what this energy is talking about. Cool. What, week 3?
I love the cards.
Yeah.
Just love my cards. Now for week 3,
Mm-hmm.
now my first one added to 7, second one added to 7, third one came to 10. Now I have straight up 7.
Oh, cool. Oh, the Well Watcher. Huh. What are the words under there?
Wisdom and power of the divine.
Ah. And
So it's,
6 of
oh,
Earth.
go ahead. Oh,
Okay.
well, so, well, it's back to deep knowing. I mean, wisdom, the power of the divine. It's hard to see, but there's little drops of wisdom water coming out of this well.
Okay.
And it's protected. There's someone watching over the wisdom that we're receiving. It's that deep knowing again. Isn't that interesting? The well watcher. It's just trust that it's all okay. And it's interesting because I see it as trickling. So the third this so far now going into the third week, it's going to be a slow, like we talked about, a slow, deep knowing, receiving, acquiring knowledge was my other card, the regeneration, and then now this wisdom dripping in. And it's like many things. If we got it all at once, we wouldn't know what to do with it, or it would freak us out, or we'd run in the
Run
screaming.
the opposite direction.
Yeah, so it's important to. So yet again, it's back to our vibe, and no matter where we're at, but just be open to the excitement and the receiving.
Yeah, and keep on aligning with more and more and more.
Alignment's a good word. And keep that dial turned to the new. Don't keep listening to the old channel. Keep turning that dial.
Yeah. And it's interesting because the Six of Earth like ties right in with that message in this particular deck and this card, because all the cards we've had so far are about stillness. So there isn't a hell of a lot of movement forward. And there is this sense I've been getting right since the beginning of the year. Like, I wanted to rush out of the gate, like, a horse at the races, like, let's get going. And there were things in the universe, like, or then, in my life that just slowed me right down. And I kept hearing that, slow down, because this is long term. This is the new, right? We're not racing against ourselves anymore. We're not racing against each other, competing like in this energy of the rat race, of course. Like we're moving out of that mindset as a collective. So this to me is like just this beautiful, deep sense of feeling into the abundance that exists around us. And that the word trust again is coming up. Like as we were learning to, was it in yours? No, it was in this one. Trust the foundations, trust the roots, trust the structures, the new structures, or the structures that remain after clearing out the old. Trust all.
Well, we're trusting like the tree of life. And when you think about the longevity of the earth, there are threads that have existed throughout all of its transitions.
Yeah, that's right.
And so the Six of Earth again is about grounding, and then the antlers receiving.
Yeah.
Stillness. This isn't a picture of a deer running or racing or any of that.
No. And yet there. Oh, sorry.
The moon, and it's okay. And then the moon's about flowing with nature.
That's right.
Controls the women's bodily, flows.
Cycles,
and she controls the flows of the oceans, and you can't dispute that.
No.
So there's,
exactly. It is. There's a fluidity, and it, like you think of a deer, and I mean, there's a certain readiness to it. He can run if he needs to run. Like if the time comes and it's time to go, but he's got everything he needs with him. He's got his antlers full of, pentacles, and he's powerful and strong, and but like you say, connected.
Well, and the trust thing, because I'm thinking he looks kind of bodiless. I was thinking maybe he's not ready to go anywhere.
Yeah.
But he's all fogged out. So it's trusting that when it's time, we'll have the means for movement.
That's right. When it's time, your legs will miraculously grow and you will run away.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, there's like a beautiful, there's just a really wonderful sense of stillness through all this, which is funny because Valerie and I have been meeting for like 3 years on Zoom once a week, and we read cards for one another, and like we've had these cards of stillness for almost 3 years. I'm like, is it time for action yet? Damn it. Like it's starting to get to that point but this feels like a different sense of stillness, because before it was like, wait, it's not time yet. Whereas now it's like, oh, it's time. But we want you to enjoy how the new energy feels and get used to it and trust the new, like trust what these new foundations and structures that we're building as we go are feeling like. So there is this sense of lightness to it.
Yeah, about finally believing in magic again.
Oh
You know,
yeah,
the magic of being here in this Earth, real, our existence here is pretty magical. Our bodies are magical.
they're incredible.
Everything, but we, as we know, and I don't want to talk about the negative too much, but we've been at war with our bodies, at war with our health, at war with our diet. And then that transforms into the world around us. And as soon as we get at peace with everything, we just love ourselves. And doesn't matter. Stop comparing. Stop comparing.
Exactly.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Shall we go to week 4 then?
Yes. Yeah.
We could jibber jabber for hours,
I know, but people can turn off if they know.
It's what we do.
Yeah.
That's right. Okay.
Cool.
I'll let you go first this time. What's your week 4?
My numbers. Swan Spirit, time for a deep dive, number 60, which really speaks to your first card, the Shadow Queen. So it's almost like as we are in this stillness, keep checking in within, go into the emotions, go into the whatever comes up, into the shadows, but also, the swan finds nourishment by diving down under the water and into the the weeds and
which water again. Water.
Yeah, water.
Here we are with water.
Exactly. So there's more water. Yeah, and also
swans are about doing it gracefully.
Exactly. And look how pretty it is with the flowers. It's it's finding joy in the deep dives. But
the thing that popped in, the thing that popped in too to remember is kind of what we touched on is the baby swan, the story, The Ugly Duckling. So we went through the real ugly period of being an adolescent and in this new and finding our feet, and we're growing into this beautiful, graceful period now. So let's be swans and not
wearing our flower tutu.
That's right.
But I've also got this feeling of like it's time to take a deep dive into life, because the last few years they haven't been a time to dive deep, because we've been in the in-between. We've been in the time where the old structures were no longer sustainable, but the new ones weren't firmly in place yet to support what was coming, right? So when you're in that, you can't dive deeply in, because there is this sense of being between, like you're on a rickety bridge across a canyon that is falling apart, or like in the film, someone cuts the other end and you don't know where you're going, but now we have reached the other side, and it again, it's about trust. It's safe to dive deep again, and that is really cool. That's the water bearer, Aquarius.
Well, and the thing I love about our 2 cards now is now yours is water, and mine is the Fates, number 17. There's a 7 on the card, now it goes to 8, but it's received yet again. Some of this is fated, if you believe in fate or not, but it's receiving again. Just receiving, and she's just standing there receiving again the new, the magic, and it's interesting because if I look hard, there's a little shell on the side of her body, a little shell.
Oh
yeah. So So it's relaxing a little bit and knowing that what's coming is fated. So like we already touched on, it's just receiving. Just receive it. Don't stress about it. Don't worry, be happy, that's the biggest thing is it's an internal action versus an external action right this month.
And that's where, understanding the feminine and masculine within ourselves is really important. You know, the masculine is the more action-based side, the feminine is the receptive side. And it's okay to move between those two states. Sometimes there are times where we are meant to be in a more receptive state. And then from that receptive state comes the action, because it's being inspired by the process of receiving and alchemizing all that information into action. And this is where the old structures went against that sense of flow. They went against, it was always about producing, being, competing, like you've got to be doing all the time, which isn't necessarily the natural way of creative and intuitive and emotionally based beings.
Well, the thing I like about looking at mine too is the regeneration to the well watcher is right where the full moon happens. So it's that'll create some action too, but it's as we know, it's just a different cycle. It's just it's not necessarily an ending, of course, or anything, but it's interesting watching how it flows, you know, acquiring the knowledge, the regeneration happens, the moon becomes full, the wisdom and the power of the dreams, and then receiving what fate has to happen going into the next new moon. So there's a nice flow.
Yeah, it's true. And I mean, full moons are great for releasing, right? And then part of the creative cycle. And so at the full moon, we've got the spider with the regeneration, right?
Right.
And then the Six of Earth was with the well watcher, I think, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So there is that sense.
So yay, be excited, everybody.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that's a cool first moon cycle of the year. I mean, I was going to say full moon cycle, but what I mean is a full cycle from new moon to new moon, because the full moon that we had at the beginning of the year was the cycle before, right?
Mm-hmm.
Ending the last decade. And this one is the beginning. So wonderful. Yay. Well, thank you, Valerie. And
it was fun. I have no big last words. I said them all, I think, for that one. So.
Yeah, I think I did too. So
and look at us. This was a fun first for us too. So,
yeah. And so we will see you again at the next new moon. I won't give the date at this moment because I don't have it on my calendar, and I don't want to give the wrong date. But I'll put it in the description box below. And yes, thank you everyone for joining us, and we will see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.